Okay. All right. So starting with the vocabulary. Number 29, points that lie on the same line are said to be what? This goes back to that first week of geometry. What are they? Collinear. Collinear. Guys, on your test tomorrow, you're going to have this. It's going to say points A, B, and C. I totally made up those letters. Are collinear. Okay, we practice stuff like this. Just know if it's collinear, they're on the same line. Number 30, a blank is a part of a line with one endpoint and extends forever in the other direction. What do we call that? Ray. It's a ray. Ray. So if I want to have ray AB, it would be an A and a B. So my A would be the endpoint and my B would be the hey going on forever in the other direction. Number 31, two lines are blank if they lie in the same plane and do not intersect. They will never intersect. What do we call those? Parallel lines. So when we start Unit 2, we're going to work a lot with parallel lines and just know they never intersect. They never cross. Okay. The blank is a location in which two lines, line segments, or rays intersect. It's a vertex. Remember, when we're naming angles, the vertex is always that letter in the middle. Okay, always a letter in the middle. Number 33, a blank is a point, line, or segment that divides a segment or angle into two equal parts. A bisector. Okay. 34. Two lines are blank if they intersect to form right angles. Perpendicular. Perpendicular. Okay, perpendicular. You should know perpendicular lines because whenever they cross, they have right angles. That's the symbol that means perpendicular. And you're always going to notice that little box that's going to be there. And that says, hey, I'm a right angle. We're perpendicular lines. 35. A blank angle is an angle whose measure is between 90 and 180. Huh? Obtuse. Obtuse. Okay, number 36, we don't have, that's more of a Unit 2 thing, but we did have that vocabulary word, angles that have the same relative position. I remember that one? Corresponding. And we're going to do a lot more with corresponding angles whenever we start Unit 2. Okay, an angle with a measure of 180 degrees, what kind of angle is that? Straight. Daniela, you have the option of either using the computer and doing the assignment, or we're doing the review to get ready for your test tomorrow. I put one on your desk. You have one from Friday. It's totally up to you which one you want to do, okay? But we're starting on the vocabulary on the last page. Okay? 38. Points and or lines in the same plane are said to be what? Coplanar. One vocabulary word that's not on here that I want to add is an isometry. What is isometry?
It's but what's that word again?
This one? Yeah. Coplanar. C-O-P-L-A-N-A-R, coplanar. What's an isometry? It's not that one's bigger and one's smaller because it's not going to be bigger or smaller at all. Okay? Do we know what the root iso means? Okay.
They're congruent, right?
They are congruent. Okay? If something we say is an isometry, it preserves size and shape. So as Lily had just said, you're going to have two congruent figures. And that is our symbol for congruent. Make sure you know that symbol. Okay, we're going to be using that symbol all through geometry, and it does indeed mean congruent. Mr. Romero? I don't know how to go to the next page or anything.
Oh.
Sorry.
Hover over the left side of the screen. Put the pen close, but don't actually touch it.
Oh, okay. Just anywhere on here? Like,
Yeah, it should pick up that you're nearby. And where that
oh my
pops out.
goodness. Look at that. Now I'm going to make it bigger for me so I can read it. Did I click back on this to put it away?
Hold, no, it's supposed to like go away automatically.
Okay.
Cause we haven't pinned it. But I'm trying to get this side over here to.
New for me. Sound good.
I think that'll work.
Hmm.
Cause you can still see the whole page there. And then if it decides to go away, it'll go away.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right, guys, if we see something like this where it's telling us that x comma y is going to x minus 7 and x plus 2, what type of transformation are we going to be doing? A translation. And whenever we do a translation, we just follow the rule of what it's telling us to do. So if I have 0.4 comma negative 8, I'm just going to replace my x. Oh, I got to touch this. I know this one. Touch that. Pick a color.
What page? This is the first page?
I'm on the front page. Yeah, sorry. Got it? Awesome. So I'm going to take that 4 and I'm going to replace my x with a 4. 4 minus 7 is how much? Negative 3. And then with my y, we'll do y in a different color. We'll do blue. So I'm going to take my y and replace my negative 8. So negative 8 plus 2 is how much? Negative 6. So the coordinates of my point, 4 comma negative 8, after translating it 7 units to the left and 2 units up, are going to give me a negative 3 comma negative 6. I have translated that point. Okay. On your test tomorrow, you're going to have points that you have to translate. Just know,
On the test,
follow the rule.
are we gonna have to graph anything?
Trying to remember, I believe you do have to graph stuff.
And we gotta be able to tell like the what's it called, transformation.
I know for sure you have some pictures that you have to analyze the graph and go, okay, how does that translate? What did it do? Or what did it have? What was the transformation?
Yeah, what would you ask us to add after?
I'm sorry, what?
What would you ask us to add, like,
Once you find this point, well, that is your new point. Like now, if you're going to be doing a composition of transformations, we're going to be doing several of them. Then you're going to start with one point, go to the next, go to the next, go to the next. We did last week. But for this one, we're just doing this translation right here. Well, what about number 2? Now it wants me to write a rule for the translation. Well, I know it's a translation, so I know it's going up, down, left, and right. And I'm starting with negative 3, and I'm going to 2. So you need to ask yourself, negative 3 plus what number is going to equal 2? 5. So we know, I'm going to write it right beneath there. And I know I'm going to be moving at 5 because negative 3 plus 5 is 2. So that's the first part of my rule. Different color. Maybe. Let's see what happens. And now if I go from 6 to 1, I'm going to ask myself, 6 plus what number is going to equal 1? Negative 5. So I can subtract 6 from both sides, just a single step equation, did that back in algebra. So y minus 5. So here's my answer. That's my rule for that translation, is I did x plus 5 and y minus 5. Okay? You do have a question on your test tomorrow where it gives you a set of points, and you're going to have to analyze those points to figure out what your transformation is, whether it was a translation or flexion or rotation, whatever it happens to change it. Questions on number 2? Okay, if we look at the next part, here's my point, and I'm going to do lots of different things to it. I'm always going to go back to this, my pre-image. So if I do a reflection over the y-axis, what's my rule for reflection over the y-axis? If I reflect over the y-axis, what's my rule? Okay, change the sign of x, and then my y just comes down. So if I have negative 5, 7, and I change the sign of my x, my negative 5 becomes positive 5, and my y just comes down. So I get 5, 7. I like that I can do lots of different colors. That's just fun. Okay, if I do a reflection over the x-axis, what's my rule?
Don't you switch them?
It's x negative y.
Change the sign.
So I'm going to change the sign of my y coordinate. So my x just comes down, so I still have a negative 5. And now I change the sign of my y, so instead of 7, I'm going to get negative 7. What if I reflect over my line y equals x? It's y comma x. And these are just the rules. And if you need to go back and look at your notes, or you need to go back, can I borrow this real quick? You need to go back and look at this, that reference sheet that you had from your quiz. Use that. No, I mean while you're doing your work. Oh no, on your test you have to memorize this. Hint, hint, strong hint, hint. You have to memorize these.
You're not gonna give us that tomorrow?
No. But you should know it by now. We've been doing these.
Alright.
Okay? So memorize these. Okay? So if we reflect over, you want to know a quick, easy way to do a reflection over these? Like the easy way to remember the rules? Ready? If you reflect over the y-axis, well, I'm reflecting over the y-axis, I change my x. Go over the x-axis, I change my y. Look, if it's y equals x, it's y comma x. Like this, follow suit. Okay? If it's y over, or y equals negative x, pretty easy. The reflecting, I think, are the easiest rules to memorize. No, that didn't make sense to you? Okay, can we go back over it?
No, just 6 and 7.
Oh, we haven't gotten the answers yet. We're going to. Okay, so reflecting over the line y equals x, we know we just flip-flop. I just flip-flopped them. Whatever I had here for my point, I just flip-flopped them. And reflecting over the line y equals negative x, I'm going to flip-flop them again and change my signs. You see how I did that? No? Okay, which one did I lose you on? 4, 5, 6, or 7?
6 and 7.
6 and 7. Okay, do you have your rule sheet out? Okay, you were given this at your quiz. Thank you. It was like, there it is, right here. You were given this, okay? Just, or you have them in your notes from, I don't remember what day, but we did notes over all of these. So just look at your notes, okay? Do you need some more notes? Okay. Remind me the end of class. Then I'll see if I have it. All right, and right now you can actually get the rules written down right here because I have all the rules written down right there. So you can always just be studying that. Okay? Are there any other questions on 4, 5, 6, or 7? Awesome. See if we can figure this out. Look, but now it's not, okay. So, Mr. Romero, I'm sorry to bother you. I got to move, but how do I get rid of my previous writing? Where's the eraser?
No, you shouldn't have to do that.
Oh, I shouldn't have to
No,
do
you shouldn't
that.
have to do that.
Let's put it back to
It should move with you, but just hold on, let me. Okay. Just
It's new to me.
you gotta move the
I'm old school and just use a marker and erase.
use the scroll here on that. I can't wait. You're blocking it. Let me see. Yeah, use the scroll and it should move. It should move with you. Yeah.
Oh, I actually touched the board.
Yeah. That's why.
That's why. Okay. Number 9, give the resulting coordinates after reflecting the point 2, 3 over the line y equals -2. Okay. Well, let's do red for my first one. Okay, so here's my point 2. Everyone agree that's where my point's going to be? Okay. No, you don't? You do? Okay, good. That's why I put it. Huh? No, I'm not done. Now I'm going to reflect over the line y equals -2. Guys, when you're going, yes. I didn't reflect yet. All I did was put my point down there. Okay. So now I'm going to find where my y equals -2. That's my line of reflection. Okay? The easiest way to do it when you have a horizontal or a vertical line is just to count. So I'm going to count from my point to my line of reflection. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I'm going to keep counting. I'm going to go 5 the other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You see how I reflected? So if I was to take this board and I would fold it in half over that line right there, my line of reflection, those points would overlap each other. Are we good? And my new coordinates for that one are going to be 2, -6. Okay, and now I'm going to reflect it over the line y equals x. Y equals x. Hopefully this is blue. Yes. Drew my line of reflection. What's my rule to reflect over the line y equals x? What do I have to do?
Hold on. What exactly?
Well, the red one, I reflected over y equals -2. Now my blue one, I'm going to reflect over y equals x. Okay? So what's my rule to reflect over y equals x?
Is y x.
My x goes to y comma x. So I just flip-flop them around. So this point is going to be -6, 2, correct? 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2. There's my one. After I reflect over this line right here. Do we agree? Yes. How did I get this one? Because that was my red one, I reflected over y equals -2, which is this red line of reflection right here. And I just counted. I started at my point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I had to count 5 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, that should be 2 -C. Nobody caught me with my counting skills here. That should be a 7, which would make that also a 7. I don't know how to erase. It's going to go right there. Is there a eraser over here?
Yeah, there's an erase under the pen.
Oh, thank you.
Wait, why?
Man, I erased everything out. Why is it 7? Because when I counted, I don't have my glasses on, so you know, counting lines is kind of a little thing. When I put my glasses on, it goes over with this little speaker thing on my head. So it's speaker thing on, glasses thing on. So yeah, help me whenever I'm counting. If it's not right. It's all good. Luckily it's big, so I should be able to see it clearly, but not always.
Can you redo
Just try it.
the going over the y?
Going over this one?
Yeah.
Let me write this neater with my red pen. And then we'll go back to my blue pen. So you want me to reflect again over this one, right? Okay. So my rule when I go to y equals x, when I reflect across that line, I just flip-flop my x and my y. Okay, that's my rule. So if I have this point right here, all I'm going to do is flip-flop them. That's it.
So you're doing your second one on the
My second one's in blue. Because it says, yeah, and then. So it says and then, that means I'm gonna do one and then the other. And I'll go back to my
Okay,
original
so you're
point.
not doing the original.
No, I'm going back to this point that I did. Okay, so that would be negative 7, 2, which of course is right where I was writing.
No.
Okay, do we have that? Are we good? Number 10, circle the letters that have horizontal line of symmetry. We know horizontal, think of the horizon, it's going to go across this way. We know lines of symmetry means I can fold it in half, and it's going to be on top of itself, right? Can I take my W and draw a horizontal line across it?
No.
No. My R?
No.
Y?
No.
H?
Yeah.
Yes, because I could right there. So tell me to circle it. So I'm going to circle that one. G?
No.
C?
Yeah.
Yeah. M?
No.
X?
Yep.
Questions on horizontal lines of symmetry? The next one is talking about vertical. And we know vertical. Okay. Can my W just have a vertical line of symmetry? So I'm supposed to put a square around it. What about R? Y? Yeah, it's not
Oh, I thought you meant why.
Oh no, the letter Y, sorry. H?
Yeah.
Okay, H, it has a vertical and a horizontal. G?
No.
C?
No.
M?
Yeah.
It looks like it'll work.
X? Okay, questions on this? No? Okay, next part is talking about rotational. Rotations. And we're going to put it on the bar over here. And it's still almost out. At the bottom of my page?
Yeah.
That's why it's not moving anymore. Okay, what are my rules for a 90-degree rotation? And if you don't know, look back at your little rule sheet. I flip my X and my Y, but there's more. I also what? Change my X. Do we all agree?
Yeah.
We're all agreement with that one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I'm going to take my 3, 8. I'm going to flip-flop them. Huh? Yeah, we change the sign of our X. Don't think negative X because you might have a negative number. Lily? Can you tell me the answer? Do you have a question? Oh, okay.
I'm gonna say what you just said.
What?
I'm gonna say what you just said.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we're going to change our sign. So instead of being 3, 8, I'm going to put my Y down first. And for my X, which was a 3, I'm going to change the sign so it's now negative 3. So what if I were to do number 14? What would I get if I rotated 90 degrees for number 14?
9, 2,
9, 2.
Oh, this is
Wait,
perfect.
what?
I'll see this perfect.
Never mind.
Because there's my Y comes first, so my 9 just comes down, and then I put my X and I change the sign. So instead of negative 2, I get positive 2. Okay. Number 12, what is my rule for a 180 rotation?
Negative 1.
Negative X, negative Y. All I do is I change my signs. Okay, so I'm going to change that at both my X and my Y. So instead of being positive 3, positive 8, it becomes negative 3, negative 8. I just change the signs. Okay, what up for number 15? Negative 1, negative 5. What's it become? 1, 5. 1, 5. You guys are on fire today. This is awesome. What is my rule for a 270 rotation?
Y, change sign of X.
It's not YX. I'm missing something in there.
Change sign of X.
Negative. Negative 1.
And you can look at your cool little rule sheet. I can't see what's going
What's the
on.
guy that says choose the X?
See where it says your rotation?
I wish it says choose the X.
Yeah, it says Y negative, it's not negative Y. X.
So this one was wrong then?
No. It's the two.
I have it on paper I can read.
Wait, is this
It's all
the
good.
The 90 degree is Y.
Oh, my bad.
Not Y choose the sign of X.
90 degree. Guys, the 90 degree was negative y.
I know how to use it, but like,
I mean, don't. I can use it if you have it memorized.
I know how to use it on like a
The
graph,
90
but
degree.
like,
I knew I got that. See?
So what was that describing?
that's a rotation.
Oh my God.
Huh?
Because that's what we're gonna have to memorize. I studied it last night. Because of the brief position.
Okay, so we gotta change all these down here too.
Oh, we did over.
Yeah, you guys got the wrong rules down. It's all good. Okay, so now these over here. Y comma negative x. Y negative x. And I don't know about you, but I do much better when these are on a graph. It's visual. And if you're like me, you do better when it's on a graph. All you have to do is ask, hey, can we have this graph paper? Or you can just draw a little sketch yourself. Yes.
Please read it number 9.
Number 9.
The graph.
That up there? Can I finish this one first? I'll be more than happy to go back to it again, okay? Let me finish this one. Okay, so number 16, 6 comma negative 4. Y comma negative x. Y negative x. Okay, Malachi, where did I lose you on number 9? Thank you. The red part or the blue part? Both. Okay, let's do the red part first. Ready? I'll go on this side. Okay, the red part first. The red part says take that point 2 comma 3, which I put right there. And I'm reflecting over the line y equals negative 2. This part right here. Okay, I just drew or sketched in there the dashed line, my line of reflection. Now I'm just going to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Got it? And that's where my point's going to be.
Okay.
Then my second part was my blue part. That was my y equals x. And when I do my y equals x, I just flip-flop my y and my x. So 2 comma negative 7 becomes negative 7 comma 2. And there's my point.
So now, hey, this one, right? This one. And this one.
Are we good?
Because they're unchanged.
Do you see my, okay, do you see my
They're
blue?
unchanged.
The blue part right here. That's my line, y equals x. Okay? You got it now? You're welcome. Okay. Next page. Let's see if I can do this. I hover somewhere over here.
You gotta use the right side.
And I go to this page. And now I have to make it bigger.
This stuff really
Mr. Romero,
Yes, ma'am.
I got to the next
Yeah, no,
page
that's fine,
and I
that's
forgot
fine.
how to make it bigger now.
Trust me, I hate this There's plenty of videos of me like getting frustrated with this thing.
Mr. Rivera,
Yes, Julia.
what did you move from?
What?
What school did you move from?
The School of the United States of America.
Awesome. Wait, what?
You wouldn't know. It's not from
Then where did you use
Oh yeah, the blue line, that was the y equals x. So if it's 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, negative 5, negative 5, so if you want to actually plot your points, you could.
Yeah, I got you.
The line of y equals x. Yeah, because that's my line y equals x. It is a specific spot where y equals x. So you can put points in there. Where I have 1, where y equals 1, x equals 1. Where y equals negative 2, x equals negative 2. And you can plot those, but it goes this way. No, that's your point. I just drew my little line showing you my line of reflection.
Oh, no, it's an A.
And that's all it was, my line of reflection. I wasn't connecting my points, I was just sketching my line of reflection. Okay? You good? I do it because I'm a visual.
Are you playing all two?
But you don't know.
Okay, guys, you should have plotted. You should have plotted on your paper. These. Oh, that's not working. Okay, do these on your papers. Oh wait, we didn't do up top, did we? We skipped some. Rotational symmetry. You have that on your test tomorrow. You have rotational symmetry. Okay. Yes? Yeah, go ahead, tell me. That would be what? Okay. That is my angle, yeah, that would be 180, because it has an order of 2. Now, you're asking how we got that?
Oh, never mind.
You're gonna, like, pick a point anywhere on there. I'm gonna pick the point right up top. And I have to spin it until it, like, matches itself, and then I have to stop when I get it back to the original. So pick that point on top. If I stop it right there, that's not gonna match. This one will. So that's 1 rotation, and there's 2. And to get our angle of rotation, you always take 360 and divide by the order, and then how many times you can stop. For my next one, what is my order? Yeah, it's just going to be, I only spin it 1 time, and it's 360. But my next one, the little like looking fan blade looking thing. How many times can I spin that around? I can spin it around 4 times. And so it would be a 90 because 360 divided by 4 is indeed 90. And the last one? I don't know. I'm going to pick this point right here. 6. So take 360 and divide by 6. Make it 60 degrees. You have a rotational symmetry on your test. Alright. Questions on that? 360 is a magic number. Because think about it, you're making it like going in a full circle, and a full circle is 360 degrees. Okay, that's how we get the 360. That's our magic number. Okay. 21, 22, 23. Go ahead, plot these. And before I start doing all of my different things down here, I'm just going to plot them. So I'm going to go negative 1, 2, put my point, put my A. 3, 1, put my point, put my B.
Isn't it negative?
Thank you. I told you, I don't have my glasses on. We're just going to struggle with vision today. C is 4, 4. Are we good? I'm going to connect my dots. And I'm going to do it again. I wish my arms were longer. Is everyone getting these on their papers? Are you turning this in? No, this is you to study. Okay, does everyone see? All I did was plot my points. Do we agree? Okay, if I'm taking this one, I am going to put my glasses on to count these lines. It's just going to feel really weird, and that's okay. Alright, if I have to go x minus 2, do I go left, right, up, or down?
Go
I go left.
left.
Okay, this is going to tell me to go left. And if I do y plus 5, do I go left, right, up, or down?
Up. Right.
Oh my goodness, I can see now. Okay, so I take this and I go left 2, 1, 2. Up 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Way up there. Put my point, that's A prime. C, left 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. It goes off my graph, that's okay. And then B, left 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do we see now how it has gone left 2 and gone up 5? And it wants us to give the new coordinates. So what is my A prime going to be? If you can see it up here. Or you can just take that one.
You see what I was earlier?
We see how A prime becomes negative 3 comma 7? B prime, I'm going to take my B, subtract the 2, take my Y, add the 5. And guys, you do have one very similar on your test tomorrow. So 4 minus 2 is 2, and then 4 plus 5 is 9. As you can see, it's way off my chart, off my graph. Questions on that one? Okay, reflecting over the y-axis. What's my rule to reflect over the y-axis? My x changes. And if I go across the x-axis, that's this line right here. And there's two different ways you can do it. You can either take your coordinates and follow the rule, or I just like to count. I went up 1, I'm going to go down 1. For my C, it was up 4, I'm going to go down 4. My A went up 2, I'm going to go down 2. What are my coordinates of A prime, Max?
What? We need to clarify.
Okay, let's take a look. If that's my A, and I changed, we're over the y-axis. Look, sometimes glasses work, and nobody stopped me to go over the y-axis. It won't work for me. Okay. Going over the y-axis. A prime. Flip your sign. B prime. Flip your sign. C prime. Flip your sign.
And then this one.
270 rotation. What's my rule for 270 rotation? What's my rules for 270? I know I'm going to flip it and change that to my x.
Oh,
So if I take my x and my y and I flip it and change that to my x, what's my A prime? You guys see on top that blue?
Yeah.
2, negative 1. What's my B? I'm going to put my y, negative 3. Oh, that's easier.
No, you can do that.
You can't see the black on there?
No, you gotta do like a break code. You like the grid.
Okay.
And color number 3. That works?
Not on the actual paper.
And my C prime.
Shoot, I forwarded it for her.
Okay, and then we just plot our points.
Just you change the sign.
And guys, you can always check yourself with rotations. If it's at 270, it should go, if I take my A, it should go 1 quadrant, 2 quadrant, 3 quadrants, in which it did. You can always check yourself. We good? You have one very similar. M, N, and O are collinear. Let's say collinear. And M is between N and O. Well, there's my N, there's my M, and there's my O. If MO is 15 and MN is 7.6, find it. How am I going to solve for my NO? Part plus part equals whole. If I subtract this, and it's asking for the whole line, it's asking for NO. I'm going to add them. Pay attention to what it's asking for. Sometimes you subtract, sometimes you add. Depends on what you're looking for. So to get NO, I'm going to add. 7.6 plus 15 is how much? 22.6. That's just the midpoint of TV. I'm going to do 25 right here just because I have no space. There's T, there's V, there's S. And it is my midpoint. So TS is 4x minus 7. And SV is 5x minus 15. It wants you to find TS, SV, and TV. If it's the midpoint, isn't it in the middle so those two are equal to each other?
Yeah.
If they're equal to each other, I set up my equation of 4x minus 7 equals 5x minus 15. Do we agree?
Yeah.
How am I going to solve? Okay, combine like terms. I don't have any like terms on my equal signs. So I subtract my 4x from both sides. I get negative 7 equals x minus 15. Do we agree? Add 15 to both sides.
It's upside down. So it's kind of weird.
X equals 8. Am I done?
No, you're not.
No, I have to plug it back in. So I have 4 times 8 minus 7. 5 times 8 minus 15. How much is 4 times 8 minus 7?
24?
Close.
32 minus 7.
Oh, 25.
25. And let's check this one because they should be equal. It's the midpoint. It's in the middle.
Is that all?
Hey guys. No.
Attention.
Guys, in my room today in trailer 11 after school, I'm having a help session for the test tomorrow.
Oh.
It's in trailer 11, not in here. Trailer 11, and I'll be there until 3:15. I've invited all my other classes to come join me. If you want to come join me, I'm in trailer 11. Where's the bell ring? 14?
Yeah, it should be right now.
Oh,
I'm
it's
at 14.
It should be ringing right now.
Yes.
2. That took me a while to say.
Okay, this is really awkward to wear this.
Sydney.
And my glasses. Because they didn't both go on together.
The what?
I couldn't wear this and my glasses. So I missed